Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Stone Genius Podcast. My name is Ro. You know me. I'm often stoned. I'm always a genius. Today we have a very special guest joining us from St. Petersburg, Florida, my hometown. This is try number 4 because I don't know words, buttons, or other things. But today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeff Macolino, host of the Jeff Macolino Podcast. Jeff, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. I got a beer in hand and ready to have some fun.
Oh, yeah. Man, I will tell you that I was never a big drinker, but I would drink at special occasions. But since I had a stroke, I would love to have alcohol, but my balance is so horrible anyway. Alcohol is probably not something I need to. So I hope you enjoy that beer today, and I will just be thinking about you drinking it.
Yeah. That's you can drink vicariously through me.
Sure. Well, I will smoke while you drink, so I'm fine with that as well. So let me ask you this, because I'm in Kansas and we have a wonderful day. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's 85 degrees. It is a beautiful day. What is it like in Florida today?
Hot, humid, sticky.
Just how I like
all
it.
All of the key adjectives. I got my workout in this morning. I actually walked. Part of my routine is when I get my groceries, it's about 1.5 miles to and from the grocery store. So I walk it, and buying a case of beer and walking that 3/4 of a mile was a bit of a forearm exercise for me.
Did you ever think about buying 2 cases of beer so that you didn't inadvertently get one arm too strong?
Yeah, well, that's the problem is you try to switch it back and forth to balance both arms. But, my right arm's getting way more jacked than my left arm.
I would just suggest buying 2 cases of beer. And you know what? People will go, why 2 now? And go, symmetry.
Yeah. This is better than a weighted vest because it tastes delicious when I get home.
I will tell you that for me, growing up and visiting Tampa all the time, I do not mind. Let me rephrase that. I did not mind the heat and humidity. And then I went to the desert and I was like, hold on, I can be hot and dry. I had never had that concept before. So I loved it. It was, played a lot of golf, and, in Florida, you play, and at the end of the first hole, it's like you've taken a bath. You're just, it's horrible. So,
Oh, God.
I know.
I was on a film set Friday night, and luckily my call time was 8 p.m. We were there I didn't get home till almost 5 a.m., but my wardrobe was a hoodie and jeans, and I took that hoodie off, and my shirt was just soaked. I'm like, in this guy's truck driving back to my car, I'm like, I am sorry, I'm giving you a wet t-shirt contest, and I don't know how I smell. But yeah, no, it's...
That's what is. Let me ask this, because I have not been to St. Pete in a while. Are there still girls selling hot dogs and bikinis in the summertime on the corners?
I haven't seen any recently. It's been a while.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, it's been early 2000s since I've seen it, but I remember it because my wife was like, "What's that?" I go, "Girls in bikinis selling hot dogs." She's like, why are they why are they wearing bikinis? I'm like, because it's Florida? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that as a little kid, like driving past and being like, what? Can we get a hot dog?
I know. I don't know what's going on here. I miss it. I remember that there used to be and I don't even know what they call it, the pier. So when I was growing up, it was called the $1 Million Pier. And then it lost a lot of its luster and everything, which I always thought was funny because growing up I'm 58 now. And so when I was growing up, $1 million sounded like a lot. In fact, there was a TV show where they recreated Half a Man, and he was only the $6 million man. I mean, $6 million right now gets you a backup second baseman on the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah. It's it's a big difference. I think the millionaire used to be like this lofty goal. Now it's like, who cares about them? Billionaires are the thing.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of billionaires, I will say. And then we have a new trillionaire, I think, this week. Elon Musk is either supposed to or has become a trillionaire. So I guess congratulations to him. Hold on. Should I have a sound for that? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, it seems unlikely to get to that level. And I'm not attacking Elon, but just billionaires in general. It just seems unlikely you get to that level without screwing somebody over.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I don't think, I'd like to think some of them are just noble people who are just creating, and it just so happens that they make tons of money from it. But I'm kind of a cynic, so I assume most people have bad intentions.
I would agree. And I'm not a fan of Elon. So one of the things that in some of the high IQ societies that I've belonged to, we used to talk about Elon Musk being the first fat genius. Because if you go back in history, there was the one picture of him on a boat, and it was not flattering at all of Elon. I mean, he looked like he looked like a narwhal without the tusk on the top of his head. And so we talked about how he was the first fat genius, but I've tried to figure out what he's really done, because I remember being at Camelot Court at Metcalf South Shopping Center playing video games. And in 1978 or 79, there was one called Lunar Lander. And what I had to do is take a spaceship and land it on a very small pad. And like everyone, like when Elon's rockets come back, I'm like, that was a fucking video game 50 years ago. So I don't know why everyone thinks that's so neat that he can have a rocket that comes back and lands. I'm not a fan. So I'm going to get to some of your interviews because, well, let me just ask now. Have you come across someone that you're interviewing that their take is so far out in left field, let's say, that you're just like, what? Have you had any of those? And can you share any of them? Have you had them?
Yeah. I mean, I'm relatively open about it. I've had a couple of flat earthers on the podcast. Flat Earth Dave has actually come on the show twice, and I guess I don't really need to tell you what his shtick is about.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated with flat earthers because I'm always trying to see their mindset. Like, it ends up, I agree with a lot of the things flat earthers believe, except for the earth is not flat.
I think that's a big sticking point with them, though. Like, if you were going to join their society, like, you not believing in the flat earth may be a sticking point for your recruitment or your inclusion in that group.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think the general comment that I've gotten from flat earthers on that episode is that they applauded me for being open-minded and not I didn't try to argue with him. I really tried to open a space and let him, the first episode he was on, I gave him, he had videos he was showing me and all this stuff, and I just let him do his pitch. Second time I tried to talk more about some of the other issues, like, you could convince me. I'm 50-50 on whether dinosaurs ever existed, honestly. So it's stuff like that I feel like I could maybe dive into and maybe come to an agreement with him. But everything, kind of like what you said, everything always has to tie back to flat Earth. And that's where it's like, it's just not a thing, man.
And with him, and I do not remember hearing this part of it, but do flat earthers believe that, like, so is there stuff on both? Like, if you have a flat piece of paper, you still have a front and a back piece of paper. So do they think there's stuff on the other side, or is it just, like, most of them think it's like, I don't know, there's walls and a dome, and I don't effing know. But, like, how come there's never anything on the other side? And, like, how far can we drill? Like, I have all, then it's, like, it's just easier for me to accept a round Earth.
That's a really. I wish I had thought of that. The paper analogy is a good one because you're right. They talk about the ice walls
Yeah.
that basically keep separate hypothetical realms apart from each other. But they don't talk about, like you said, the backside of the paper. Probably, I'd like to think that they have thought about that, but honestly, I don't know if they've gone that far. That might be a new one for them.
So, and I've mentioned this on my podcast before. I'm trying to find a doctor that will agree with me. There is a thing called misophonia. I believe that's how it's termed, where it's an actual neurological condition about if you like hear sounds, it can set you off. Like people eating, like people can't hear other people eat, and I'm like, when I had my stroke, I was literally listening to two flat earthers debate each other about which one was more correct about their theory of flat earth. And I'm like, why are you not agreeing? You both are saying it's flat earth, but one of you say, and so what happened was I have to get away from this conversation. I stood up and I took 2 steps and I fell into the wall and I was like, I'm going to the hospital. And, so yeah, I'm not I will blame flat earth for causing my stroke. So that's what I will do with flat earth. I do want to ask you something, though, that you mentioned that you were on a call time recently. And on a recent show, you also mentioned that you trimmed your beard. Was that something for a current role that you're playing, or is that something because of summer?
I'm happy to now have trimmed my hair and beard down to short. That is how I prefer it in the summer. But so the role I did on Friday was in a werewolf movie, and I'm playing a Southern character, so it's supposed to be straggly. So I grew my hair and beard out for about a month. So I was, which was a choice. It wasn't a demand from the director, but I thought, this guy's not going to be clean shaven and tight. So I just kind of let it grow out, and yeah, my daily walks were.
So let me ask you this. If you actually became a werewolf, would you be clean shaven? Because remember, when there's a full moon, you're going to be hairy. And then you're like, I got all this hair. And then like the rest of the month, you maybe want to be clean shaven. So I could understand either way on set. If you went and you were clean shaven, because then it's a more dramatic change from you being clean shaven. And then all of a sudden you're just this hairy dog, or I guess wolf creature.
If I were a werewolf, I would definitely probably be pretty averse to any hair on me on the days that, we're at a full moon. In the movie, I didn't play the werewolf. I got torn apart by it.
Oh.
So that was a first for me, getting ripped limb by limb.
I have, since my stroke, I have watched perhaps every movie ever made. I'm getting to that point. And I've noticed on a lot of the horror films that are, let's say, less than art house quality, or maybe even less than mainstream quality, they seem to have a lot of nudity at the very beginning to nudity, I'm going to watch this. And then it seems like I've also noticed, and that you may know this from being in the movie industry, that it seems like between 55 minutes and 1 hour and 5 minutes into the movie, that's when something's going to happen. Someone's going to get killed. Someone's going to get eaten by a werewolf. In the movie Crackoon, a girl is going to be orally pleasured by a crackoon, which if you're like, what is that? If you're not familiar, that is a raccoon who takes crack. So, yeah. I mean, the girl liked it. That's the weird thing, too. She was really into it until she found out it was a crackoon.
She just didn't look down for a while?
She didn't. And she didn't know until the guy came out of the bathroom. She thought he had come back and gone under the sheets. And I haven't been around a lot of raccoons, and especially not one that seems to be addicted to crack. So I just think that you would know that that's not your man. So
One would think, like, I dive into a movie like Face Off and get angry that she had sex. The guy's face was the same, but his entire body is different. You're telling me you can't tell a difference? So taking that further to a raccoon, that woman's.
I
I don't know.
know. Hello, the size of the tongue. Is that guy not do? Yeah, she needs if she is going to confuse a raccoon for her guy, perhaps. And I'm just throwing this out there. She needs a different guy.
I would argue that yes, he is probably pretty incompetent if a raccoon could do the job the same way.
You know what? I'm not going to say that. Like sometimes they take movies like Predator and Alien and they put them together. And I'm not going to say that Raccoon wouldn't be a great mashup with Thanksgiving Again. Like what would be, it could be a horror movie that, oh my God, I keep seeing the same ravenous raccoon every day. Or it could be a love movie that because he's already proven that he's a lover that the women like. I mean, I'm not going to say it would be a perfect mashup, but perhaps you should think about one of your movies, Thanksgiving Again, and Raccoon, mashing them up.
My mind is flowing with ideas. I think Raccoon has unlimited potential to hang with the dysfunctional family that we saw on Thanksgiving Again. I told the cast and crew that if we make $1 million, I'm going to make a sequel. And it will focus around my character being in the time loop the second time. So I think Raccoon fits right in with me. Like we might be boys.
Well, and I think that's great. But now I do want to transition back to your movie. Instead of just mashing it up with Raccoon, you do have a couple of movies out, Thanksgiving Again and The Last Ride. Can you tell people where they can find those movies and a little bit about those movies minus the Raccoon?
Yeah, there is no Raccoon. Unfortunately, that genius idea had not
yet
entered my head, or it probably would have had a Raccoon in. But The Last Ride is on Story TV. It will soon be on Fossum and probably a month away from being on Tubi. And Thanksgiving Again is on Plex, Fossum, Story TV, and that will also be on Tubi around the same time as The Last Ride. They are very different movies. Not really like a double feature. Thanksgiving Again is kind of it's a comedy. It's a time loop movie. And it has a little more feeling to it than I thought, but it's a comedy first. And The Last Ride is a drama. You're not going to laugh. Hopefully you cry. Not.
Do you want to explain? Because I do know about I have not seen that movie, but I do know the premise of the movie. Do you want to can you give that away of what The Last Ride is for people? Because it is pretty powerful. Because someone who's had a doctor actually come into them when I was having my stroke, where it was located, they couldn't do anything. And the doctor literally said, there is nothing we can do for you. We just have to see how this plays out. Cool. Thanks. So, when I read this about The Last Ride, I'm like, that's pretty poignant. So tell people a little about the backstory of The Last Ride.
Yeah, so the movie is about a guy, a rideshare driver who's depressed, and that's me, who, is a disgraced architect, and the only job he has right now is driving around people. And he picks up a terminal cancer patient who has 2 days left to live, and the cancer patient pays him to drive him around, kind of to get his last goodbyes in. So it's actually based on an event I had in real life where I was driving for Uber before I sold my house, and I picked up a man from a hospital who just finished chemo for stage 4 cancer. And he basically told me, and this was a long drive, bad traffic and everything. It was probably a 45-minute drive. And I just, he knew he was going to die. Like he was very straightforward and, matter of fact about it, and was really just, I left that conversation in real life feeling a new sense of gratitude for, he talked about how much he loved St. Petersburg. He'd lived all over the country, and this is his the best city he's ever been in, and he's happy he moved here, and his wife was dead, and it just stuck with me. And I didn't write the movie, but that was my story idea that the director, Christopher P. Smith, took the ball and wrote. He directed it. I'm the lead actor in it. And yeah, I think it's funny backstory too is we filmed that in 2024. It was 2 weeks after the second hurricane hit St. Pete. The roof of the Tropicana field torn off, all that stuff. My house was flooded. So while we filmed that movie, you can see sometimes when we're driving, like trees on the ground and debris and stuff like that. It was a weird time to be filming a movie, but
did you have to alter? Did they have to alter that movie at any point? Like, had anything been shot and go, shit, we can't have down trees in the background and then upright palm trees and another? Did you have, or like most people don't understand the roof and what happened to the roof of the Tropicana field. It got torn off. It looked nasty. I can't believe they put it back on, honestly. But it was pretty nasty. So did they have to make any alterations to the movie because of that weather, or did they just let it go in the background?
We just let it be. The only choice we made was to not show Tropicana Field without the roof. There's a drone shot we bought from prior to the hurricane. So you do see Tropicana Field at one point with the roof on. But we didn't want to show that. Other than that, we were fine with whatever it caught, because I don't think it will take anyone out of the movie. And people who are aware, I mean, it's very St. Petersburg forward, the movie. Like, it's in St. Petersburg. So I think people who lived through it might appreciate that we didn't ignore it. And it's not prominent. It's not like, look at all this debris. It's just, while we're driving by, you just so happen to see piles of, storm damage. Right. So we figured we didn't want to make it a plot point, because, you risk not being evergreen at that point.
Right.
But if anything, the timing of it, we were the only thing in Pinellas County that was filming at the time. So there was really no concern about actors showing up or getting other gigs, because there was no other gigs to get. So people, they showed up and they were just thrilled to be doing something normal.
So let me ask you this about the Tampa St. Pete area. It seems to be very entertainment driven right now. It seems like there's a lot of podcasts, at least that, and maybe it's because of something I've said, and so it gets into my algorithm, but it seems like there's a lot of things based out of Tampa. Do you see, or Tampa St. Pete area, do you see that yourself? Is that something that you feel that area is really generating a buzz with the content that they're able to produce and churn out there?
I think so. I mean, you talk about the algorithm. It might be because I'm in it. I know most of the local filmmakers and people like that. I've had a lot of them on the podcast. I've worked for several of them. So I hope that is true, because it feels like it. A lot of it is, in the movie side, is a lot of low budget stuff. And the only thing I fear, and this is not the case of anyone I've had on my podcast, bad mouthing anyone specifically, is I do hope that everyone maintains at least a level of quality that doesn't bring everyone else down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Let me ask you this. What is did you grow up in Tampa, St. Pete area?
Yeah, I've lived in St. Pete my entire life. Was born at St. Anthony's.
Okay. So what is your favorite relaxing, whether it's with family members, friends, by yourself? What's your favorite thing to do just to please yourself in Tampa, St. Pete?
I mean, I think There's a lot to choose from. I think nothing beats day drinks. There's so many nice bars and outdoor waterfront bars and restaurants around here. That's my favorite thing. Just get a group of people, get some drinks flowing, shoot the shit. Uh, Drinking just hits different when the sun's up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And that's one thing that, you know, you go to a bar like I'm in Kansas City now. You go there. Some of them have patios that you can go sit on, but it's not like, so where I lived last time. Not the last time I was single and lived in St. Pete. So I lived, excuse me, I lived just north of the Don Cesar. I was like on 75th Avenue North, and let's see, I think I was 646. But anyway, right next door to me was a bar. There was always hopping, and then across the way from me, because my apartment was right across the street from the water, there was a bar that had you could take your boat. You'd drive your boat up and you would just dock your
the wharf, I think.
Yeah. And that was right across the street from me. And I just grew accustomed, you know, when I've just said I've never been a big drinker, but I can always go and enjoy myself in those places as well. So I totally get that. I loved well, two reasons. Key West is like that. They have a lot of great bars that are very open and just you get to enjoy the surroundings. But the other thing I liked about Key West is that we went there 30 years ago for our honeymoon, and it started pouring. We ran into one of these bars. I started looking around, and it's like, oh my God, this is a gay bar. There's no other girls in here. My wife's like, should we leave? I go, no, move away from me. I'm about to get free drinks.
Yeah, it's you know, I think it's the bar just neutralizes the heat.
Yeah.
There's, you know, it wouldn't be fun sitting outdoors. Like yesterday, I was drinking with friends. I don't remember getting home. It was one of those kind of days.
Sunday.
Yeah, but it was. I got home. My Uber says I got home at 5:41 p.m. So that tells you, you know, the timeline.
Right.
It would have been miserable to sit out there without drinks and friends, but you know, it just. I don't know. It's being surrounded by water. I just think us St. Pete people are a little different.
I know. There's a few things that I get into it with people here in the Midwest. One of them, when I say I'm from Florida, they're like, oh my God, how can you handle hurricanes? I'm like, okay, first of all, there's these things called hurricane parties. Secondly, we generally know of the hurricane a week or so in advance that it's headed our way. Mm-hmm. So we can either get out of the way or, once again, hurricane party. And though I always think it's funny that people ask me that live in Tornado Alley. I'm like, you literally get a tornado dropped on your head and get no time to know that it's coming. And you're okay with that, but your big thing's a hurricane. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, the idea of tornadoes terrify me. Or the idea of earthquakes terrify me. Hurricanes, yeah, we got hit with two
back to back.
2024. Yeah, which was, you know, we hadn't been hit directly in forever prior to that. So hopefully that takes care of the next 100 years. But still, we knew it was coming. We were able to either flee or have a hurricane party.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it is what it is. I was lucky the timing of the hurricanes. Like there's something to be said about dumb luck. Like I bought my house in 2011 and I sold it in 2024. Few months before the hurricanes. And I chose to keep that money so I could make my movies. And I said, you know what? I don't want to deal with upkeep anymore. I'm going to rent. So my house got flooded. Yeah, but my landlord had to fix everything.
Right.
So I'm like, I didn't miss a penny out of this thing.
Yeah. Have you? So you have not. So you've been through hurricane. How do you personally handle hurricanes? Like, are you like you mentioned that tornadoes scare you? I'm telling you. So here now, if there's a tornado warning, which this time of year you can't go more than a couple of weeks without there being one. I'm the type that'll run outside. Like, I'm not an idiot. I don't want to die from it, but I do. I want to see it. So,
Yeah,
are you one like that? Or are you one that's kind of brave and like, I'm going to ride this out?
So the first hurricane that hit, I did my normal thing, and I'm in a mandatory evacuation area. So it was a risky move technically, and the water got within inches of getting into the house, and I was just staring at the window watching, and like, oh God, I'm gonna have to figure out, like, run out to the breaker. I kept power the entire time. But I'm like, if it floods, I need to go to the breaker box so I don't electrocute myself or something.
Right.
So I was just keeping an eye on it all night. Just my kids were with my ex-wife. I was by myself and just watching. The internet was down, so I'm so lucky. I have a large collection of DVDs and a DVD player. So I was enjoying life like it was the early 2000s.
Well, that's awesome that you have that, because it's funny. I was dusting my DVD player this weekend, and my wife's like, why don't we get rid of that? And that's exactly the reason why, because, and there's some movies that I own that I don't think you can find. I'm not sure you can find the first Police Academy movie anywhere anymore. I'm not sure it's acceptables in today's culture, the first Police Academy movie. So a lot of jokes that probably wouldn't survive today's. I'm the type, I haven't been in a hurricane since like 2008. And that was we were in St. Kitts and had a direct hit. And all I remember, I wish we had the videotape, is my wife was videotaping water coming underneath our door. And then she would pan over to me and I'm sound asleep. Because I'm just like, we were in the safest place we could be. The building we were in literally, I think, was the fortress on the island. So I was like, you know what? It doesn't get any better than this. So, yeah. There's nothing being awake really gives you an advantage. You don't have an advantage. Like, no.
If something happens, a window breaks and you need to tarp it up or something, your wife will wake you up.
Yeah. My wife is not real keen on going to new, like, zones of the world that have different types of natural disasters. Because with me, she has been through a hurricane, direct hit hurricane. She's driven through a forest fire that we had to drive the only road out of. We were in Palm Springs and there was a earthquake, which you had mentioned that earlier, that it was funny because when it hit, we were actually up on a mountain, but we're shaking and we're moving. It was funny because it was like, if you looked at our bodies, it felt like we were dancing. And I don't know how long it lasted. I want to say 30 seconds, but that could be wildly off. But however long it lasted, when we were done, it was weird because my wife and I both looked at each other and like, what was that? Like it could be, like, it couldn't have been anything else. But being, originally from Florida, or she's from Kansas and now I'm in Kansas, even though you think earthquake, you have no idea. And I think if things would have been falling off shelves and breaking around us, that would have been totally different, but it was just weird because and I do have a picture of it somewhere, because I looked down the mountain and it looked to be smoke coming up, but if you look real close, you can see that it was a rock slide, which was kind of wild. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Have you been in any natural disasters besides hurricanes?
No.
Okay.
No, I got lucky a few years back avoiding a tornado. I was going to go to my parents' house to help them. They were moving, so I was going to help them pack. But my dad called and said his back was acting up and not to come. And I actually would have been driving exactly where a tornado hit at the exact time. But instead, I was taking a nap. But I drove past it a few hours later, and I'm like, what? Did someone set off a bomb? Like, yeah. One side of the street, the roofs are torn off. Every tree is on the ground. The other side of the street looks like completely normal.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I was just going to say, yeah, that is a total mind fuck between a hurricane, because a hurricane is just, you're never out of the hurricane. Like, if you see destruction, it's pretty much everywhere. You know, it's on this street, it's on that street, you know, and then it starts to get a little less and less and less. But like you said, a tornado, which I used to be director of operations of a staffing firm, and we staffed for natural disasters, cleanup, stuff like that. And we had to go survey a site that had been hit by a tornado here in Kansas City, like 2005, maybe somewhere in that time frame. And it like houses like to the north and south may have been left alone, but like houses in the east and west just taken. And it was amazing. Like how one house was reduced to sticks and the house right next door barely looked like it was touched. Just crazy.
Yeah, it is such a mind fuck because it just, your brain doesn't, but you can literally see the path the tornado took by the devastation, and it's a wild thing. And I'm just, thank goodness my dad's back flared up.
Yeah,
the timing of it may have been really bad for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is amazing. And, I think that's usually the big ones that they call the finger of God. But it is weird because, like you said, it's almost like he put his finger down and just like, I'm going to move my finger here on the earth. Let's take this out. Oh, let's move this way. It's crazy. I mean, especially here in Kansas, I remember coming over the hill and seeing like a couple houses damaged. And I came over this hill and it was like you said, you just saw this straight line. And you're like, well, that's where it went. Just insane. So, hey, let's change to the topic that sometimes can be a disaster, but recently has not been. Let's talk about Tampa Bay sports.
Okay.
Now you do something with a website, do you not, about Tampa Bay sports?
Yeah, I haven't been super active with FL teams lately, but I've had some great opportunities with them to cover the Rays, the Lightning, and USF, which is my alma mater.
Nice.
I don't do the Bucks because that's the only team that I'm actually not a fan of.
Really?
Yeah, I was 3 years old. I saw the Saints, and that I just loved their uniforms. I was 3, and I decided that was my team. So, not really a rational reason, but I was 3 years old. So. But,
that's crazy, though. You just saw the Saints and you're like, that's it? That's cool. I mean, it's interesting. I've never heard like of a young child picking, usually it's because of either where you live or your parents were diehard fans for that team.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because my dad was a Raiders fan and my mom's was a Dolphins fan because they were the only Florida team when she was growing up.
Right.
So my parents having different teams, it kind of just made me think, well, I picked my own team because they have their team. So I picked my own team. And it was a Ricky Jackson card that he met him in high school and he signed the card. But I just love the black and gold. And I was actually a Notre Dame fan before USF existed for the same reason, the gold helmets. And boy, I'm lucky USF went with gold as one of their primary colors.
Yeah, USF, they're getting a new football stadium, correct?
Yes, yeah, an on-campus stadium.
That'll be cool for them. So one of our youngest who just, she had a friend go to USF, who I'm not sure if she's still there at USF or not. So, which was kind of cool. Yeah, I love that. I spent a lot of time, what was that, University Mall, which isn't there anymore? Is that the one right next to USF?
Yeah, it's, I was there. The theater that was attached to it is still there, but I think the rest of it is gone. Last time I was there was years ago, and it was a ghost town.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was not like, I mean, it was very similar to that. I remember going out to USF back in, like the late 90s. The Tampa Yankees used to practice out there. I went to buy a Tampa Yankees hat so I could wear it in Kansas City and have everyone go, what the hell is that? So I'm a huge, I'm a Bucks fan. So I am, like, I've heard your age is around 40. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'll be 40 in December.
Okay, so I've listened to some of your podcasts. So your parents are probably my age or probably just a little bit older than I am. So I remember, like your mom, that there was no Buccaneers team. In fact, I was going to look up, I think John Matuzak, who was at University of Tampa, was the number one overall pick in like 72 or 73, somewhere around that time frame. And then a couple years later, Tampa didn't even have a football team because they said they couldn't compete once the Buccaneers arrived, which was weird. So
yeah, it was. I was surprised when I looked back and saw Freddie Solomon, I think, went to UT also. They had some players at Tampa.
Yeah, they did, and it was I was just always like, you're bailing because of pro teams coming. I would think that. I mean, that would be like USF giving up their program. Like, I just don't understand that, and especially because, like you said, they had the number one overall draft pick. Like, how that doesn't? I don't know. I don't get it. But that's neither here nor there. We got the Buccaneers, and I was happy about that as a child. So my parents weren't, because they sucked. I had to sit through that. I remember those first 26 losses in a row. Then they lost to, I'll call them your New Orleans, and then we beat your New Orleans Saints. But yeah, I mean, I had to sit through that. So
yeah, that's rough. See, when I became a Saints fan, the first game I remember watching was in 1992, and they were in the playoffs. They blew a fourth quarter lead against the Eagles, and then the rest of the 90s was just pure misery.
Yeah.
Things were pretty bad until Drew Brees and Sean Payton showed up. So I can relate to the old school Bucs fans of their childhood just getting beaten over the head every season.
Well, everyone here in Kansas City that knows me knows I'm a Buccaneers fan. And, you know, a lot of them used to say when the Bucs were bad, they'd be like, oh, man. And they're like, especially in the 90s, they'd be like the early 90s before Sapp and Brooks and Dunn got there. They'd be like, oh, you know, so bad about your Buccaneers, you sad. I'm like, I've seen a lot worse than this. You know, 2-14 is at least we won 2 games. So I've seen a lot of, you know, we had a coach named Richard Williamson, who I'm pretty sure was the one that was a car salesman before he became our coach. So, yeah. I have my shirt that I was wearing. I'm actually wearing a Buccaneers shirt today. And then yesterday I have a couple that say Bucks, Bolts, and Rays. That's all it says on it. So, because I'm a true homer. So we go in fact, I've really liked their timing the last few years. The Rays trip to Kansas City seems to coincide with the 4th of July. So my wife and I and our youngest, who's an adult, but we're going to go on July 2nd to I call it the Rays game at Royal Stadium. But it'll be funny because afterwards, these Rays fans get to go out on the field to watch the fireworks. So that'll be fun. So we did that right before my stroke, a couple months before my stroke, and we're going to try to get me out on the field again. But I always say that it's, they're like, what are you doing this way? It's going to a Rays game. And they're like, in Florida? And it's like, no, out at Royal Stadium. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I love my Rays. So although I can't name, I don't think I could name more than 3 of them this year.
Yeah, they're doing well though. I'm actually wearing a Rays shirt right now. I've got a bit of a history with the Rays. I worked there for 5 years.
You did?
And, yeah,
what did you do for them?
I vividly remember their first game too, because I went to school. I was probably 5th or 6th grade, and there were like blimps all in the sky. Like, it was such a buzz. And I went to school pretty close to the Trop, so I kind of felt all that energy. My dad came and picked me up early so we could go home and watch the game. It was pretty miserable until Wade Boggs hit the home run. Yeah, when I worked for him, I was in the communications department. I mostly did baseball information, like some of the weird stats you see on TV or that the broadcasters bring up. I was the one writing those things. Or researching those things, whatever you might want to say. So I was in the clubhouse after every game. Started with Lou Piniella and was there from 05 to 09. I actually got a American League Championship ring in 08. Unfortunately, it was stolen, but
wow. Yeah, that I do love it. The one thing that baseball is such a long season that I'm always like, because everyone's like, oh, your Rays are doing so well. You know, them and the Yankees are going back and forth for the best record in the AL. And I'm like, yeah, but it's June. I mean, it's a long time till September.
Yeah, the thing is, the Rays have, I guess I've been a little jaded by it, is, yeah, they're going to get to the playoffs. I'm sure they will. But so what? Like, we've been so bad in the playoffs for outside of the year we went, the 2 years, I guess, we went to the World Series. We really haven't ever done well in the playoffs. So, you know, it's nice that they've got a good record. Probably sets up that they'll be in the playoffs, but
yeah,
what are you going to do with it?
I know. And that's, it's funny because I play video game. I play MLB The Show, and I haven't updated. So I still play 2024, and I haven't updated it because on 2024, I still have Randy Arozarena in my outfield. And I don't want to have to trade for him. So I just don't want to upgrade the game because I'll lose him out on the outfield.
That trade was I was so disappointed. You know, I get it. I mean, I was there when they were making trades, and you would trade. Usually the Rays won the trade. Like we traded Delman Young, and it was like, what? We got Matt Garza and Jason Bartlett for Delman Young, but Delman Young's supposed to be the best young thing. And, you know, fast forward, obviously that was a great trade for the Rays, and they wouldn't have gone to the World Series in 08 without that trade. But Randy was just so much of, I mean, they have Randy Land in left field. It just is like, you got to leave room for somebody to be a face of the franchise at some point. Of course, they tried to do that with Wander Franco, and that didn't turn out so well.
I know. Gosh. And I don't know. So it's funny because I think he was 21 and she was 14 or whatever at the time. And my big issue is that's the age difference between me and my wife. So when people start talking, they're like, oh, but you're older. And I'm like, yeah, I know but we've been together 30 years. If I could go back in time, I don't know how young I would meet her, actually, which would make it weird. But I do have a Wander Franco jersey that I love to wear to karaoke, and I will sing, and I'm not kidding, I will sing Michael Jackson's Pretty Young Thing just to see if anyone gets the irony.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, not too many people get it, or someone will be like, boo, and I'm like, oh, get over yourself. So,
it's such a weird thing. And the girl's mom got more prison time than Wander did.
Yeah.
Like so I'm like, I still want to know what he knew. Like, did he know she was 14?
Yeah.
You know.
I could go, this is one of your conspiracy theory shows that I could go down. And, well, not really conspiracy theories. I think that it's a long story. I don't know. Because I will say that there are a lot of 14-year-old girls or 13-year-old girls or 15-year-old girls that don't, let's say, present themselves as such. So... And yeah, I don't know, man. That's always been a thought in my head is, and I always accuse, this is why politicians do all these horrible things, because what they probably did was get a 17-year-old girl to go to a bar, make up. She probably looks like she's 25. You know, you pick the right 17-year-old girl, she does look like she's 25 if she wants to, and she's in a bar drinking. So, you know, as a guy, you got to assume that's a thumbs up, good to go. You know, right. She's
not only 18, she's 21.
Well, yeah, 100. My wife was watching something, one of those shows, and that's what they were talking about. They're like, well, this person was in a bar, so why am I not going to think that they're at least 21? I mean, that would be one thing that you would imply, unless you want to just assume that the bouncer, whoever's carding, didn't do their job. And I will tell you now, I can't tell. I mean, and I don't drive anymore, so I'll be sitting in a light with my wife since she drives since my stroke. But like a police officer will pull up to us and I'm just like, oh my God, you look so young. Which, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's not them looking young. It's me getting old. I totally understand that. But still, I look at them and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're so young. But, well, what can you do?
Yeah, it's a weird world, man. I might be, I'm either getting catfished or I'm about to embark on the greatest thing that's ever fallen into my lap.
Okay,
now.
So let me ask you about that, because you were gonna retire from dating apps, and then all of a sudden I heard this on one of your shows that you, just like you said, you're either being catfished or something great's about to happen. So how is that? Where is that stand? And can you give us the backstory of that?
Yeah, so I retired from dating, meaning I deleted my profile from every place except for one because it was exclusive. And 5 years ago, I actually applied and did not get in. So I'm like, well, I don't want to remove my profile because, they send you 2 or 3 profiles a day. It's not high volume swiping. You get 2 or 3 a day, so I just kept it. It's not a time consumer. I have gone on a couple dates with chicks from this site. So I match with the most stunning, top to bottom, face, body, everything. She's 30 years old. She's a model. I'm like, what the fuck is this girl matching me for? And we're texting. She starts sending me photos. So I send them to one of my more tech-savvy friends, and I'm like, I bet AI can find who this is. And it does. And she has a deleted OnlyFans page. And I, yesterday, very, very drunk, were like, are you this person? Or are you just someone using her photos? She said to me today, she said, that's me. I deleted all that stuff, but I know some of it's still out there because pirated stuff. I'm like, all right, well, we need to meet in person soon. So I don't care if she had an OnlyFans. There is a video of her that I watched of her pleasuring herself. No guy involved even. And I would not be embarrassed to date that girl. I don't care if all my friends see the video. If anything, I would be like, yeah, you see what I'm getting. So if it's her, it kind of, to me, I'm like, why would a 10 drop down to my level? Well, that's probably why, because a guy who's a 10 is going to be like, nah, I don't want all my friends to have seen every part of you. I don't care.
Right.
So to me, hey, it's not like I don't have a past. It's not on the internet, but I have a past. I've done a lot of shady things. I still do a lot of things that are, not things that people would put on a resume, we'll say. So yeah, now again, I don't know that it's her. But if it's her, I'm thrilled because,
so when you ask her, so I met my wife the old-fashioned way. She was drunk in a bar, and I said, yes, please. So, and that was 30 years ago. So things have changed dramatically. So, when you connect this with this person. So now that you've said, you've said to her you want to meet, and if so, what's her response been?
She today, I just proposed a date to her today for next week, and she said she'll check her calendar and get back to me. So I'm going to stick on about that because the further you go, unfortunately, my schedule is horrifically busy this week. So it's like, well, I can't meet until next Tuesday, but let's put it on the books.
But if she came back and said, I can't do it next Tuesday, but I do have this Wednesday open for a hand job, what do you think about that? How does your schedule look then?
For a hand job? Oh, I'm free.
Okay, see there. I was just wondering how busy you really were, whether you were busy or whether you were a hand job busy.
Well, if she said, I want to come over and let's ravish each other, I would cancel all of my appointments.
There you go. And would you do?
Um,
Would you do it in an? Would you go? I got a girl coming over to fuck. So sorry, we're not going to be able to do this.
I would probably send a picture of her to the people. Like tomorrow, I'm recording 3 podcasts. So that's pretty much my whole day. The third one's probably going to be a train wreck because I drink whiskey when I do my podcasts, and the third one never turns out well. I can tell you from experience. I don't know why I keep keeping my calendar open for it, but it is what it is. But yes, I would message all 3 of those people and say, sorry, I've got to do this instead.
I have this to do. There you go.
Yeah. If they held that against me, I don't want them in my life.
So I want to ask you this to switch gears real quick. By that third podcast of the day, with the whiskey setting in nicely, what you say they become a train wreck. How do they become a train wreck?
Oh, I'm supposed to be the host, and the guest is really keeping the thing on the tracks at that point. And it's the second time I've had it exactly the same, where I have one at 2 o'clock, one at 5 o'clock, and one at 8 o'clock. And so there's no, like a couple weeks from now, I have one at 2 and one at 9. And I'm like, well, I'll just take a nap after the 2 o'clock one, and I'll be fresh and fine for the 9 o'clock one. But when it's 2, 5, and 8, like, oof, I'm 6 hours into drinking when we start the third podcast. And things, I never remember the third podcast the next morning.
Right.
So things can go in weird directions. And funny enough, my guy tomorrow, who's on the third podcast, the last time he did my podcast years ago was the blackout drunkest podcast I've ever recorded. I was almost too embarrassed to put it out, but he wanted it to go out. So I let it go. And I was so drunk, just so drunk and so stupid. I literally said, I went on a short rant about the MCU, and I'm like, well, here's the problem with the MCU, blah, 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 blah. He responds, and I say, here's the problem with the MCU, and I repeat the exact same thing I said. And this poor guy, he just rolled with it like, he just completely said the same thing, and I'm just going to respond a different way. But yeah, it was, so he's going to get the sequel to that.
Well, I guess that's, I mean, it's entertainment. And I'm glad that you still put it out. That's one of the things that I've done shows before, even solo shows, that I haven't wanted to put out for a reason. And I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just putting it out. I recorded it. I spent the time. I'm doing it. So yeah. I congratulate you on doing that. So what is your favorite topic to talk about? Like, what is something that someone brings up or someone says, hey, we should do a podcast about this? And what word triggers you either positively or negatively about just being, oh, we're going to talk about this?
There's a couple things. I love conspiracy theories, and I think the word, the term is labeled as something that I don't view it as. I like conspiracy theories as a brain exercise. Not that it has to be true. I just like, okay, let's throw this wild thing out here. Now let's dig into it. Why would it be this way? Why? So that's why I've had flat earthers on the podcast, even, because their brain is obviously going to the conspiracy theory place. But it's to me, I view it, I almost feel like it should be like not a board game, but some sort of like party game. It's just an exercise in building a conspiracy of who's involved, who's getting what out of this, why would this be a thing? So I enjoy that kind of thing a lot because I do think it helps you exercise your brain to an extent. You think outside of the box. You build layers.
Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory? One that, whether you believe it or don't believe it, but is there a favorite conspiracy theory for you that you're just like, I just like talking about it?
I think there's a couple that are fascinating that involve Egypt and the pyramids and all that stuff. And I think I mentioned it earlier. One that I'm starting to really probably go more than 50% on is that dinosaurs never existed. When you start digging into the fact that, like,
digging.
the exhibits you see in museums, it's like one bone is real in that thing. The rest they just made up. Like velociraptors for years were the size of what they saw in Jurassic Park. And recently they said they were probably the size of chickens. Well, how are we just now finding this out?
Right.
So I think there's some, and Flat Earth Dave would tell you, and I don't, again, I'm like, I see it just as plausible, is that back then there were giant humans and there were dragons. And these are the bones that we're actually finding, but archaeologists are just building out this hypothetical dinosaur based on one bone or one thing. And there is some evidence, I think, that you could argue that dragons were real. And I mean, they're pretty dinosaur-like, but yeah. So I think it's just, I think part of it is I don't take any of it seriously. It's just interesting to go down the rabbit hole.
Is there anything, so it sounds like you believed growing up dinosaurs were real, but now you're on the fence 50-50 about whether they existed or not. Is there any conspiracy theory that you had that, like, after talking to people, you're like, I don't believe it anymore? Like, you're like, I believe that we faked the moon landing, but then when you talk to those people, you're like, okay, actually, now I'm convinced more than ever we went to the moon. Is there anything that changed your mind from being a conspiracy theorist to saying, actually, I don't believe that any further?
Probably not.
Then what's your favorite conspiracy theory that you hold, like, this is my ride or die, or whatever you want to call it? This is, if I had to preach about one conspiracy theory that I really believe, without a doubt, not 50-50 on the fence, but what a lot of people may think is a conspiracy theory, is there one thing that you are 100% convinced that it's real?
99.9%.
There you go.
Say JFK was killed by the CIA or the FBI or both.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's becoming more and more obvious by actual information that's coming out. So maybe that won't be a conspiracy theory, but an actual fact in the near future. I heard they're still waiting to release some documents because some of the people in them are still alive, and they don't want,
Yeah, we wouldn't want to hurt anyone's feelings over the murdered president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what we wouldn't want. And I think on one of your podcasts, and it may have been with Flat Earth Dave, although I don't know. So sometimes I feel like if people believe one thing, they can't, like people that believe that aliens are real, they can't also believe that AI is going to destroy humanity. Because that means that somehow those aliens got to where they are without AI destroying them. So you can't say it's going to, so like, is there, I guess, just what is the one thing that you hold dear that I believe this to be true, even if everyone else on the planet doesn't, that 99%, that besides the JFK, I'm sorry, besides the JFK.
I can't shake the feeling that there's a government, a shadow government, that the president of the United States really doesn't have much power and control. I can't shake the fear. I've had this my entire life. It's not really a recent thing. Just, it always seems like, well, why would they do that? That's not what they preach, but it's coming from somewhere. So yeah, I think there's a power structure of things beneath the surface level that us peons get to see. And I don't think the president is much more than a figurehead doing what he's told.
Yeah.
And that's no matter who, that's not a slight on any party or any, I think they're all bad.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, oh my gosh. I am not affiliated with the party, and I haven't been my entire life. But I would agree with. I mean, I would say the current president doesn't really seem like someone that should get all the information. Like if there's information, and Biden wasn't the one to share it with. I mean,
he wouldn't remember it anyway.
I know. And he would tell someone. He would tell Jackie Gleason, hey, come down and see the aliens down at the Miami Air Base. I think that was President Nixon who was supposed to have done that. So, yeah.
Nixon there's some weird conspiracies I'm starting to learn more about with Nixon and Watergate and everything, that actually he was basically set up. Which I don't think that's a crazy take, but he was set up because he was trying to investigate JFK's murder. And Gerald Ford was actually on the Warren Commission. And he was put in as his VP at after Agnew resigned or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, some weird stuff involving Gerald Ford being complicit in basically setting up Nixon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
And I got to live through all that too. I actually remember that on the news because we didn't have stuff to do as kids. That's, I think, why Gen X, why we grew up also so fast, is like we didn't have like kids programming at night. Like it was the news. That's what we had to watch at 5 o'clock and 5:30. The local news and the national news. That's what we had to watch. So
yeah, I think there's a range of millennials who, like, I was a freshman in high school when 9/11 happened, and I mean that was it. That you saw things that no kid should have to see, and there's a group of people within that were 10 to 16, maybe 10 to 18 when that happened, where I feel like we're just cynical, no, whatever. Maybe stoic, I don't know. It just seems like we saw something so horrific as a youth that nothing really shakes us anymore.
Well, and I'm just going to change the dates because I don't know. See, we could start a conspiracy theory right here. So I've always wanted to make 6/9, June 9th, a national holiday, which would be because it would be Sex Day because 6/9, right? And if you go back exactly 9 months from 6/9, it's September 11th. And the only reason I know this is because our youngest was conceived on September 11th that night because we thought the world was going to hell. And she was born 6 weeks early, but her due date was the 10th. So I always want to say 6/9. So let's start a conspiracy that babies born on or around 6/9 of 2002 were a CIA. Hold on. I'm trying to do this conspiracy theory as I talk it out. So the CIA, they're the ones that made 9/11 happen so that people would have babies that would be turned into Manchurian candidates. And you know what's happening? Those babies would be like 24 years old right now. Perfect age to be Manchurian candidates. Look at that. Dude, I just started a new conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
9/11 babies. That's what I'm going to do a podcast, and it's going to be titled 9/11 babies. Are they Manchurian candidates? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're almost old enough to start infiltrating Congress. So
exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
the next decade could be wild.
It could be wild. So, Jeff, let me ask you this. What do you have upcoming on your calendar? You have a podcast that you're doing for your own podcast. You're probably going to be a guest on other podcasts. What else you got going on?
The podcasts the podcast is the weekly thing. And then, of course, the movies we mentioned, Thanksgiving Again and The Last Ride, are out. You can watch them for free. Yeah, and the next step really, I'm basically putting everything I have into marketing these movies, and my hope is that I get some return on investment, and I can show investors that I can make a good movie, win a bunch of awards, and make some money, and get my next. I have 4 scripts that I have written and ready to go, but I just need to not pay for them myself.
I understand. And aren't those called producers? Are those the ones that like go out and get the money together? I don't know what their title is to help do
Yeah,
that.
I'd probably give them executive producer credit,
There you go.
where, they just give me your money. I'll make a movie. You get your money back first. Obviously, you pay me a salary. Once you make your money back, we, split up the profits amongst all the, you know, that would be a negotiation part.
Right.
That's the idea. Um, so yeah, that's why if you follow me on my Instagram, there will probably soon be another wave of awards and announcements from film festivals, because I spent way too much money on film festivals. But it's we've won, I think, 11 awards on the last ride, including 5 Best Acting awards for myself, and I think we're up to 13 awards on Thanksgiving again. So it's been a good run.
That's awesome. So you said that you had 4 scripts in hand. Do you have a favorite of those 4, or would you be looking at maybe getting the one that would cost the least to get produced? Which one do you have in mind to do next?
Well, it depends on what kind of investor I'm able to get. Honestly, there's one that I think could be made relatively cheap. And I love all 4 of them, but my favorite one is one that I called Spaghetti Face, that I wrote completely blackout drunk over 4 days. It's raunchy, R-rated comedy. It you know it's what you would expect a blackout drunk person would write, but it's actually good and funny. Um, so that's my darling, because it's a testament to my work ethic when I'm blackout drunk. The fact I woke up one day and my kids were on a cruise with my ex-wife. I was just sent out casting call for Thanksgiving again, so I literally had nothing to do but hurry up and wait. So I got hammered. The next day I woke up and I had 24 pages of a script written. I read the first 5 pages. I'm like, oh damn, this is good. I'm gonna get blackout drunk again and make sure I write more. And 56 pages, 72 pages, 96 pages, and a note that said, thanks for letting me write this. Have fun editing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So Blackout Drunk left me a nice little note at the end of the script.
And it's a very pleasant note. I could think of some notes that a blackout drunk may leave to their sober self that may not be as pleasant.
Oh yeah, I used to have like a Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk like split between drunk Jeff and sober Jeff. Like sober Jeff would write a note like, and I think I have it somewhere actually, a note that I wrote, "Hey, drunk Jeff, you're probably blackout drunk and you're gonna order McDonald's because you're hungry. You're not hungry. You're tired. Go to bed, you fat fuck." And I woke up the next day and had a note from drunk Jeff saying, "Stop being such a pussy, loser."
Wow.
So yeah, so and then I used to have videos that drunk Jeff would leave. I shared these with friends, and people just died laughing of me just ripping myself a new one about what a loser sober Jeff is. And eventually, though, we've come to get along. It's been a good merger, probably very healthy for my mental health. Drunk Jeff still is in the special thanks of both of my movie credits, because Drunk Jeff, for the last ride, had to do a food schedule. One thing I do a lot in both movies is eat. I'm very good at talking with my mouth full of food. Uh, and Thanksgiving again, I think I did a lot of my writing while I was drunk. Not blackout drunk, but I was buzzing pretty good.
Well, that is what I have not. When I get high, I just stare off into space. So there's no writing getting done at that point.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I tried, it was January of 2025. I was trying to finish the script for Thanksgiving again. And I was trying to also give up pasta and booze for a month, thinking I would lose weight. And of course, I replaced it with edibles, THC drinks with no calories in them, and smoking weed. And my work ethic, when I would sit down, I'd be like, I'm going to watch a movie while I'm drinking, and then I'm going to switch to writing mode. And it worked. I do the same. I take an edible, say I'm going to watch a movie, and then write. I did not write. I played 6 seasons of a franchise mode in Madden over like a week. And it's like, oh, I don't think this is going to work for me because I keep saying I'm going to finish the script and it's not getting done. Just High Jeff has no work ethic at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And depending on the strain, I am very in touch with that as well. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was nice to talk to someone that is familiar with Tampa Bay sports as well, because that's something I can't do with people up here in Kansas City. If it's not about the Chiefs or the Royals, then yeah, man, that's all right. I mean, I get to talk to you, and I got to find out that that you don't like the Buccaneers. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my one flaw as a local Tampa Bay guy. I acknowledge it. I like when the Bucs are good because trash talk and whatnot. It's not fun when one team sucks and the other one's good.
Right.
It's my one flaw. But yeah, I could talk about my Tampa Bay Rays stories, and Joe Madden's the guy who taught me how to cut a lime to put in a Corona.
Alrighty then. So, at first, I thought you said cut a line, and I was like, "Wow, this is like the 1980s Royals doing coke in the bathroom or something."
No, but the first time I encountered coke was because it was wrestling night, and they had all these retired wrestlers, and they actually had wrestling matches on the field at Tropicana Field, and I went out and partied with them. And I had never seen cocaine before, but they busted it out. And I'm like, I'm going home.
And now you're like, dumb young me. Hold on. I think I got a sound for that. Where did I got that? Yeah.
I absolutely wish my story was the first time I did coke was with Nasty Knobs, but not to be.
Now, I've never done cocaine myself. But I heard that because I love the way that cannabis smells, that I would love the way that cocaine smells. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't do cocaine, but I do like
the way it smells. Exactly. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it. You have 2 movies out currently, Thanksgiving Again and The Last Ride. Plex at Flossom, and then soon to be Tubi. Like in July of 2026, they should be arriving on Tubi. Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct.
Awesome. That is so good. And I do know you recently, I think within the last week, you were mentioning your awards, and I'm going to mention this one. Was it the Chicago Film Critics? You got an award for Best Actor from Chicago, did you not?
Yeah, Chicago Filmmakers Award. Yeah, I got Best Actor.
And that was for The Last Ride?
Yes, that was for The Last Ride. It was my 5th Best Actor award, so I was I always stunned to see my name on a list like that.
That's awesome, though. Hold on, I have something for that. Now, don't get too excited because they get weird at the end, like they're grunts and stuff. Yeah, clap. Like that, at the beginning, it's like, oh, they're clapping, and then I don't know what's going on at the end. I don't know what they're clapping for anymore. So, but that was a clap for you and your awards. I hope they continue to come in. I will look forward to that, and I hope that many of the listeners will look forward to those movies. Thanksgiving Again and The Last Ride. Jeff Macolino of the Jeff Macolino Podcast. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man.
You're so welcome. Everyone, thanks for listening to the podcast. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a good one.